Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Not Arcfall. Enterprise Part 2, the second month, if you will, ended yesterday at noontime. So, gonna do my final thoughts video. Seemed like a very uneventful month, mostly because NX-01 was the big feature, and kind of expanded on a loop that some of us weren't very high on to begin with. Added another hostile and saw the free to play path, and it was like, holy shit. Alright, but that's my last bullet point. First bullet point, officers. As I always start out with officers, they are the more important. Well, usually, some of the officers this month I don't know about. Archer does have an okay captain ability. Does increase your Xindi loot by 300%. Now, the way I read this, and I haven't tested it out, but I assume it works on the aquatics and the reptiles. Well, I know it works against the reptiles. I'm just assuming it works against the aquatics. At least I have not heard otherwise. So yeah, it's technically a good captain ability, but it's only good against Xindis. Not good against anything else. Which isn't that good. He's essentially a one-trick pony. At least as far as his captain ability. Now, his officer ability does kind of technically make him not a one-trick pony, because you can use this on several other hostiles and potentially players, though I don't know that I necessarily see the value here. I think you're going way too defensively, just not taking advantage of all the offensive strike team officers. So, but it is critical hit damage. It does up your critical hit damage every time you are hit. Now, a lot of these hostiles have lots of weapons, especially these Xindis. Player ships, not so much. So that's why, another reason why I don't put too much value in Archer in any other loop other than, or activity, I guess, other than fighting the Xindi. I mean, his officer ability can be good, as you can see right here in the description, which is something they've added. 50% at rank 5. I guess they're trying to entice you to spend more money to max tier him. I mean, most of us can kind of figure it out, especially with the patch notes. Can figure out where he will be. What's the word I'm trying to say? Whether he's good, right out of the box, or if he needs to be like tier 3 to actually start seeing a value, and then what kind of value at max tier for spenders, really, because sourcing mechanic is really the only way a free-to-play player is going to get it. So, only kind of care a little bit about that. So I'm not that high on Archer. I'm really not. Very lackluster, I think. And then you come to Shran, the rare officer this month. Look, I get the whole, and again, you can see what it does at rank 5. Well, it's like they had to add something to get you to buy it because they didn't think the abilities were good enough on their own. They had to show you, if you spend money, lots of money, you can have it at this. I almost feel like that's insulting. But maybe it's because I am the guy that is paying attention to the patch notes, and I check out ftfc.space to look up what officer abilities are. You don't need to tell me this. I would rather go to like an ftfc.space because I think it's a better tool in general. This doesn't really do anything except clutter up this little box that tells me the description. Certainly, and I certainly understand the crystal mining. You had T'Pol and she was ore. You would obviously want to do crystal and gas. It seemed kind of silly just to have one below deck mining officer for ore. You got to complete that triangle. So sure, I would have used Shran here, but however, it's okay. Again, showing what rank 5 is. I wonder, did they change it for all the officers? No, they did not change it for all the officers. As you can see, Trip doesn't say on either of his abilities. But yet Shran and Archer do. That's odd. And it really does look like they didn't think the officer abilities were that good until they were like, oh, hey, this is what it is in max tier, everybody. It's low now. Spend money and it'll be high. Well, duh. I think most of us knew that already. Okay. It's just run from no one, yet you have increased warp speed. Like running away. You're running to the battle, I guess, maybe. Weird. To me, the Enterprise crew seem to be more on the explorer side of, let's say, a character's position. Well, I think I would classify Shran as a warrior, so why does he not have any combat abilities? You gave the combat ability to, yes, Archer does have one. To a certain extent, the captain should be able to do everything on the ship, including tactical officer. So I kind of get why maybe we're waiting on Malcolm Reed and he'll be the guy that does, offense shit against Zindies. But I think Shran is more of a warrior, so why it's like his abilities and Trip abilities are switched. Like warp speed, that sounds like something an engineer should do. Not reduce the amount of your critical chance. Not that should necessarily be Shran's ability, but it is more combat related, and I associate Shran to a more combat officer and Trip to a not combat officer. So it's just weird. So, and they are very niche. They're very specific. The Shran will only help you in mining speed against crystal. I mean, it's useful. I'm not going to say that it's not useful, but it is. You're very limited, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And adding into the fact that there is no sourcing mechanic for any Enterprise officer, which to a certain extent is okay, because the earlier they bring the stupid mechanic out, earlier in their monthly series, I guess, 3 or 4 months of a certain TV show or movie, earlier they bring it out, the less they will have officers from the later months. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, we don't know that there even will be a sourcing mechanic. So until there is a sourcing mechanic, I'm going to say there isn't a sourcing mechanic and judge accordingly. So very niche or limited officers and no sourcing mechanic, officers getting a thumbs down. And of course it went away, but talk about missions here next. staple. I mean, people would probably throw a huge fit if all of a sudden missions weren't coming out in an arc. New missions to deal with the storyline of the arc. They're not usually that rewarding, but again, it's like ever since they started doing arcs, I feel like there have been missions specific to the arc. So you can get rid of them. They weren't overly hard. I didn't think they were too egregious on their tasks. At least it didn't feel like it anyway. Of course, I did them a while ago. I think I did them day one or day two. You did get a few extra officer shards. That's not why I did them. But it was the reward is why I did it early. Now, I think, I wonder if it was in concurrence or coincidence with a Syndicate XP event. And that's why I did them earlier, a lot earlier than I usually do. I usually do them late in the ARC month. Did them early because Syndicate XP, not the reward for the mission, but the event that were losing words there. The event where the task is to do the missions. Now, I do like that it kind of. This is where I was really struggling with the word. I wanted to say it restored that mission event. And I'm like, restored it to what? Restored it to goodness or something. It's not really the best I could come up with. It restored the event to a more meaningful level. Past few months, it's been like, oh, here's like 40 hours of speed ups. Or 3 days and 40 hours of speed ups or something that was like, really? It just seemed, to me, that seemed like a very low reward. Now, 3,700 Syndicate XP is kind of a low reward, to me anyway. I'm Syndicate level, whatever the hell level I am, 500,000 Syndicate XP. So 3,700, I look at and I say, that's nothing. But the Syndicate level, they do offer a wide variety of benefits to players. So handing out more Syndicate XP is a good thing. I do wish it was more than 3,700. I do get the idea that, let's say, you don't want to just start handing out hundreds and hundreds of thousands. I completely understand that. But could it be like 10,000? I think that's more of a significant impact and something to get people engaging with your stuff, man. It's not like they make these missions in 5 minutes. Some of these other events are very quick to make because some of them have already been run. So you change maybe the wording a little bit on the description and you launch it or you set a timer for it to launch. Well, with some of these missions, they got to write dialogue for it. You got to write this story. So there's a lot more effort and a lot more that goes into it. So do you not want players to engage with it? Yeah, you want players to engage with it. But if you don't reward them for it, then they won't engage with it. So can we make it a little more rewarding? And to a certain extent, at this point of the game, we got to be getting some of these free-to-play players some more Syndicate XP because whatever, you need millions and millions upon millions of Syndicate XP. So what is 10,000 really going to do? Okay, it could get you the first 10 levels of Syndicate. All right, so I wouldn't mind if you gave that to free-to-play players. By all means, just give them a whole level. Whatever their next level is, give it to them. I don't care. But at the same time, like, you gotta reward all of us, so I understand that's why it's kind of low. But I do think there needs to be a little bit better sourcing for it, especially free to play for the Syndicate XP, because I mean there's so many levels and so many Syndicate XP. Alright, so enough of harping on that. Where I ranked the missions, I really did like the change. But so it's really hard for me. Like, I don't want to give them this because I feel like part of the reason why I liked it so much is because they were giving shit rewards for the past 2 months. But I'm going to give a thumbs up on the missions because I feel like we're moving in the right direction. But part of that is because you were going the wrong direction for the previous 2 months. So take that for whatever, take that with however many grains of salt that you like. All right, let's move on to the events. Okay. I thought the payouts this month were all right. They did seem to go in line with at least my level and where I was. Did seem to be a good amount of rewards there. It did seem like there were a more material awarding events as opposed to last month. I did make note of that it felt like there were many events that awarded you random ass other currencies. You put so many other ass currencies in this damn game, so you're like, oh, well, let's put some of them in there. Well, then we get less materials and less resources. I don't know if I like that. Because some of these other loops, and yes, while they may be difficult, that's where the main source of these random goofy ass currencies should come from. Because the refinery ain't enough for your materials. Now let's get to the bad part. There were a few things that I would consider almost unforgivable. The thing that happened with the Wave Battle Pass event. Some of the feedback they got early in the Wave defense, especially surrounding the Battle Pass, was having to do one every day, or even in some cases, for some players, having to do multiple waves in a day because the events were very challenging for them. It's not like some of them can get to wave 3 or 5 on a regular basis. I can do wave 10 on a regular basis, but that's where I'm at. Some of the smaller folks cannot. So what the event planner person or battle pass managing person did was made the wave battle pass things 3 days long. Well, what happened, and I think it happened on a weekend, theme here, all of a sudden, a new one spawns and it's 24 hours. A lot of people didn't like it. And, well, they should be. Really for 2 reasons. Why? Because it does make it a lot more challenging for some of the smaller players and maybe some of the players that can't devote 15 hours a day to this game. And from what I saw, there was zero communication from somebody that even works for this company. No communication. None whatsoever. And then what happened the next day? Yeah, the 24-hour timer expired. Instead of being extended, it expired. And the next one populated, and it was 2 days, which seemed odd to me. But, however, I guess depending on when you catch it, depends on whether you can extend the timer or you have to not. Because if the thing just populates for 2 days, well then you have it planned out for it to be 3 days each time. You have it set for 21 days, so that's 7 iterations of the event. Well, you can't just start another 3-day one because then you're 2 days off. Well, so you did a 2-day one. All right, well, you were able to specifically tell the system to launch a 2-day event, but yet you couldn't just extend the other one. Okay. I mean, I guess you weren't able to do that. I have no idea, but I feel like you should have been able to adjust the timer while it was up and just extend the timer. I don't really understand why you couldn't have done it, though. I completely understand that a computer, for one reason or another, one reason or another, would say, no, you're not allowed to do that. Like, why, Mr. Computer? Allow me to do the thing. You work for me, bitch. Oh yeah, I don't really like computers. Shocker. And really had to be on a weekend, or maybe it was a holiday. Maybe it was like President's Day or something. So no communication on that. And not even communication the day after. It's like, oh, why this one's a 2-day? I mean, most people could figure it out, but like, can y'all speak? Hey, hello, anybody in there? Does anybody actually work for that company? Like, where y'all at? Hello? No, nothing. So weird to have no response from them. And then what happened last week? People are like counting down. It's like, all right, I'm gonna finally get me some Archer because I've been watching Angry Rhino videos and I know how I can get a whole bunch of extra loot from this Zindy shit. But I'm like 20 shards short, so this, spend event coming up this weekend, I'll get me the Archer guy and I can get more loot. And then no Archer spend events and zero communication as of why. Wow. I do understand that you want to be like, oh, well, we're going to run incursions. So we want like the week before to be some kind of incursion prep event. So we're going to cancel whatever spend event there was and run the incursion one. I understand that's a thing that you do as the people running the events and such and whatnot. I don't like that. I don't think most players out there like that. Because for the most part, when you do that incursion bullshit, it isn't for the current ARC's officer. So I don't know why a lot of players would like that in general. Run the events, especially the spend events, for the current month's officer, within the ARC. Don't wait till after it because incursion. Fuck incursions. I hate incursions. But again, no communication. You couldn't even let people know what the plan was. Though again, we understood what the plan was because all this incursion bullshit came up. Oh, interrupt the current arc for incursions. Okay, fuck incursions. Especially because you want to have it interrupt the other shit. I'd rather do the Enterprise arc event types than stupid ass incursion event types. Run incursion event types like say now, this time. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, before the incursions. Run them then. Who the hell cares? Why do they gotta be a week away from incursions? They don't. They don't need to be. They can be a few days in front of incursions. It'll be fine. But that is what they're doing. They essentially swapped, at least where I say the event should go. Because now we got some Archer spend events now, after the arc, which, okay. But again, when was that communicated? After the arc timer had already gone away. Or at least that's when I saw it. At least I think. I don't even remember. But why so late? Look, I perfectly understand that people want their weekends off. And you shouldn't have to make your employees work weekends all the time anyway. But for a game like this, and where really all you got to do is send a text message on the Discord or a Facebook or something, why the hell could nobody do that? I mean, are you seriously trying to tell me that with this game company, yes, in particular, I don't really know some of these other companies work because I don't really follow them that much. that you can't send a message or messages out to your customers. That is what we are. We're the customers here. You can't send us a message on a Saturday. Why the hell not? Okay, yeah, it takes up your Saturday. Well, you screwed shit up. So at least communicate us that there was a screw up and you will make it up to us. I think that does add to the anger that some players had. Like, you can't at least talk to us? Wow. All right. So, I mean, communication is terrible, and it's not something that it's not a category I really grade, but since it directly involved the events, I'm tying it in there, and I'm giving the events a thumbs down. You know, a 2 thumbs down, because it was just absolute bullshit way to handle it. It's like, you can at least tell us. You should have told us ahead of time, right? I mean, you got the calendar, the little fancy calendar that pops up sometimes when you load up the game. Clearly said Archer Spend event on it. The in-game news where they have the schedule listed there also said that an Archer Spend event would happen last weekend. But it didn't, because you planned to not run it when it got close to the weekend. Because when you made those calendars in that schedule, you planned to do it. But then you decided to change the plan and just decided to leave us in the dark. It's kind of, it's shitty. All right, let's get to the feature. Really not much of a feature, but let me go to... What am I going to here? Let me go to the Ex-Borg. Oh, wait. I don't need to get rated. Let me put a shield up. Let's go to the Ex-Borg store here. I don't know how much you really want to call this part of the feature, but they did add a few more favors to the Ex-Borg store here. I'm not going to put too much stock in these because they cost, they're starting to cost rare already. And in some cases, epics. So, not something you really should be buying into until you get an NX-01. Because your currency income for these Ex-Borg credits, it's low. In my opinion. But it is there. But it is heavily linked to the NX-01, so we'll go with the NX-01 being the feature here. And yeah, I know I mentioned, let me read some of the notes here before I get to new type. That's right, new type of hostile. Xindi Aquatics. All right. That really you can only kill with the NX-01. That's the way they designed it. Or at least that's the way it appears that they designed it. I have not tried to kill the Xindi Aquatics. All the information that I gathered on these Xindi Aquatics led me to believe that I was not going to kill any of them. So I didn't even try yet. In the NX-01, you can see right here you have 2 daily chest claim options, a 1 or a 2 day. The one, not a 1 or a 2 day, a 1 chest or a 2 chest. The one is 50 uncommon Borg credits, or 2 chests for 250 Ex-Borg credits, which seems like a lot. So between 100 and 200 days may depend on, your income of uncommon Ex-Borg credits. So, it is nice that there's a free-to-play path already. I just don't like it. Part of the reason is, why the hell is it 200 blueprints? Why? How often do they release a ship that's 200 blueprints and not like 100? Especially a specialty ship. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, maybe it has happened. I honestly don't even remember at this point. There's so many stupid ass specialty ships. There's too many. But really, I mean, I see this as part of it as they wanted it to look daunting and a grueling and a very, very long grind, I guess, to get this ship to entice people to spend for it, which is fine. But will tell me the ability. It doesn't tell me the abilities. Abilities are only really specific to the Zindi aquatics, so it doesn't help you against the Zindi reptiles. Why not? Why? Okay, especially when NX-01 not designed to hunt the reptiles, but designed to hunt the aquatics, who became allies of the NX-01 and her crew, at least in this show. In the few seasons of the show that they did run, don't exactly know where they would have gone in later seasons, but so it's like, why? I don't like that. Just doesn't seem to make that much sense to me. Especially because it just seems like they're going to release all these different Zindi species and a lot of these, in some of the features or sub features, officer abilities. Doesn't seem like they're going to be good against all the Zindies. It's going to be good against specific ass Zindies. Like, so they're like super niche. They're not even like just niche. They're super niche. That's really what the NX-01 is. It's super niche. It's not there's niche in where it's only good for the one loop. It's only good for like a subsection of the loop. So it's super niche. All right. Why is that a good thing? Doesn't seem like that good of a thing to me. Right? I hate that. I hate that. Hate it. Hmm. So, yeah, I'm kind of. I don't need to harp on this too much more. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it. So, thumbs down. Way too many thumbs down. Not that, not that I give too many things a thumbs up. Right? I think I've definitely given things definitely given more thumbs down in these videos than thumbs up. Maybe because I think they're so focused on getting money that they make specific things to specifically get you to give them money instead of making like this here, the NX-01. If they made the shit better, like say it's good against all Zindies, would it not have been a better ship and therefore more more people to buy this ship instead of saying it's only really good against this type of thing, small type of thing. So man, just look at it. There's only a few people got it, rather than I just think more people would have bought into the NX-01 if it was better. The quality is just low for me. So, and it really seemed that is the way they've been going with the Enterprise arc in general. They haven't been making officers or features that are just good. They make them to where they're good in this specific loop or in this specific sub loop, and therefore, emphasizing the need for this feature or officer to engage in this specific loop, hoping that will entice people to buy it. Whereas if you made it good, People would buy it. More people would buy it because it is good. Low quality, in my opinion, in officers, the feature, communication was. You can't even like use that Q word because it's just the total opposite is what their communication has been. It's wow. Oh, we put out bunches of messages like after the fact. Like it's over. I mean, you handled the situation poorly in the moment, which we can get into what happened earlier in the arc that, well, probably because he's famous in this community, has now caused this player to quit because of the way they handled it. It's not that they made the mistake, it's of the way they handle it. They don't handle things well. They don't communicate, or, you know what, they call you a cheater. Ha! Yeah, that's great. Don't communicate with your customers and then call them cheaters. Okay. Wow. Ah! Very bad. Very bad. Do I even need to give you my overall thumb rating for this shit? No. I think the summary, we'll call this even a summary, really speaks for itself. Officers are not that good. I do think that they made steps in the right direction with the missions. And to a certain extent, the events. They just didn't communicate their event plans well enough in the moment, or really even thinking about the decision after. I don't even like the decision. And the feature, in my opinion, is it's a one-trick pony, and that one trick ain't one badass hell of a trick like, let's say, the Discovery. All right. Leave your comments below. What did you think about this month? And was this really a good way to start off the year? Starting off 2024 with back-to-back Enterprise arcs don't seem to be going well, in my opinion. Probably some of the two worst arcs that I've been around. But that's just me. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders.